Fantastic to be here today with Matt Hookings, who is the star of Prizefighter, a fantastic movie that's gone out recently, starring, of course, Russell Crowe and Ray Winston and loads of people. How are you, Matt?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, it's weird when people always mention the cast because it's got this array of an amazing cast. You know, Julian Glover, Stephen Burkhoff, Jodie May, Martin Kosak. I like to say everyone because they're all they're all wonderful cast, and obviously Ray and Russell as well. Thank you so much for having me on.
How's it been going with the film? How's it been received?
It's been a bit crazy, to be honest. It's been mental. I mean, the film came out end of July, close to my birthday. I think the first couple of weeks it was number one on Amazon, so it was a great sort of first couple of weeks in the UK, and then it came out in the US as well. I mean, I didn't expect it. I thought it would be over and sort of done in a couple of weeks later, but I went on a kind of 2 month PR and press and doing radio stations in Australia and stuff in America, so and a bunch of stuff in the UK. I think the pull. It had three interesting elements. The boxing side was one pull, the film inside, and how I managed to get, Russell Crowe and Ray Winston and myself playing the lead. That was a second pull. And then obviously my personal connection to the story was a third pull. So it seemed like everyone was interested in it. But, it's been well received, in terms of people watching it, that, the audience and people that matter. Yeah, it's been a bit crazy. So looking forward to a couple of weeks of downtime.
It took 10 years to get together. How did you feel the end result when it was on the screen? Was it all that you thought it would be?
That's a good question, and I'll be honest. I mean, not really. It was built up over 10 years, and it kind of started off small and got bigger. And then, there's so many things that happen during the process of filmmaking that you have to change and tweak. And, I had to cut the script last minute. So it went from 10 years ago, it was this small film that grew and got bigger. And then towards the end, it got smaller because I had to cut stuff. And I mean, obviously seeing it on screen was a huge achievement, and actually seeing all the messages and, people's response to it was great, because it was just such a big achievement, and it was a huge, but it was a huge element of relief as well.
A phenomenal achievement. I mean, for people who don't know, who haven't yet seen the film, it's about the life of a boxer called Jem Belcher. He was little known, but he was a very charismatic fighter, wasn't he, in his day?
Yeah, you know what? It drew me in straight away on Jem's story. So, he was the youngest ever champion at 19. He was blind by the time he was 22 and dead by the time he was 30. And he had this, I've noticed there's a nice Muhammad Ali photo in your background. Yeah. He had this Muhammad Ali reminiscence about him, where he, dressed the way he wanted, talked the way he wanted, way ahead of his time, and basically coined the birth of the sport and what we know of it today. So it was a fascinating story that no one knew anything about. Not even diehard boxing fans knew nothing about him. And this was the guy that basically, was part of another, a group of individuals of a time period that basically, invigorated the sport that we know of today. So it was a fascinating story that I really, part of the reason for telling it was making, Jem aware, known to the world, because I think his story needed to be told.
Was envisaged at the start that you were going to play the part?
I mean, not really, no. I think I came across his story. I started writing it. I was thinking of, Aaron Taylor Johnson and Jack O'Connor, all these other sort of high profile actors at the time. And then a couple of things started happening, which were a little bit weird. I'm not sort of spiritual by any means, but, I found out that he died on my birthday, which was the 30th of July. I found out that his mum's name was Mary, the same name as my mum. And, all these things started happening. He was the same height, same weight, same size. I saw one picture where he looked very similar to me. And then I think the last trigger was he fought Henry Pierce in one of his last fights, which is the end of the film. And Henry Pierce was from Bristol, and he had the same last name as my dad as well. My dad was a British heavyweight champion boxer in the 80s, and his name was David Pierce. So these things just kind of clicked, and I thought, God, this is meant to be. And then I went around pitching it everywhere, and still pretended I wasn't going to play the part, when deep down I knew that I was going to sort of stick with it and play the part, and then just transform myself into a boxer. I jumped into a pro gym, for years and just trained as a boxer. Everyone thought I was crazy because, they didn't know if the film was happening or not, and I was getting battered by these pro boxers.
Yes.
And I just stuck with it. Yeah, I just stuck with it. And I think, just very quickly on that point, I get asked this a lot, like, how did I manage to sort of bring in Russell Crowe and Ray Winston and still keep the lead with being the writer and all these kind of things. And I just put myself in a very, very immovable position where I knew everything. I knew every element of the script, the cast. I hired most of the crew. Everything was just, every strand or strain of this project in some way was linked to me. So I just put myself in a position where I couldn't be replaced, essentially.
Was there any time a sort of a movement to, say, a bit like Stallone, where they tried to get rid of him for Rocky? Did the people with the money think, look, Matt, did you not think you might want to step aside for this?
Oh, yeah, all the time. All the time. I mean, I was walking into rooms, and by the end of it, they would eventually ask who, sales agent, distributors, who's playing the lead, and I'd say me, and then it would just be, it would just go quiet. I remember even bringing in Russell Crowe, and that sales agent still didn't want to come on board because I was playing the lead. Loads of situations. I mean, loads. One of the investors laughed about a month or two before we started filming, and he just said, "Look, even if I wanted to replace you for someone super famous now, we can't, because you know everything that needs to be known to make this film happen."
The transition from you being an actor, although your dad obviously was like a heavyweight boxer and sort of a well-known boxer, you had never boxed before, or had your dad trained you in a gym or anything like that before?
No, I grew up kind of hating boxing because my dad. A side story about my dad. My dad passed away from boxing-related injuries. When I started training for it, I fell in love with it, and it was a very, very good release. In lots of respects, boxing saved me because I'd have the stresses of trying to make a film and sit in a computer all day, and boxing was my release. I was able to go in a gym, spar. Trained in a boxing gym in South Wales with Tony Borg, who was training Lee Salby and other pro boxers, world champions, different things like that. So I was in the right mix. So I just got fit enough and started to enjoy getting hit in the face.
I mean, do you have any talent as a boxer? And have you ever considered going into the ring yourself and actually having a fight?
Yeah, I mean, it's a kind of current topic because I've just launched this podcast. We had Johnny Nelson on and Eben Bridges and Julius Francis and a couple of high profile, other boxers, and it's it keeps coming up. I would love to fight. I would love to have a little unlicensed or a fight, which I'm looking at doing maybe next year. But it's
Matt, I know all the unlicensed promoters. They could definitely put you on, and they'd love to put you on. I'm sure. There's an organisation called the IBA that I film all their fights and stuff like that have a big crowd, like sort of 1,500 people at the Circus Tavern, and they do unlicensed fights. I'm sure they'd love to have you on down there.
Well, maybe I can tap you up for that. Yeah, I mean, it would be so easy to do, but I think I need to just I would need to still put off a couple of months, go back and go into the hard training. I think I'm going to focus and do a commitment to it next year sometime. I think I need to just get it in my system. I think that's the answer.
Yeah. So in the actual fight scenes that you did, because some of them are very sort of brutal kind of scenes, did you sustain any injuries? How difficult were they to film?
My ribs busted. I got tendonitis on my elbows and broken nose and everything. Yeah, went through the whole lot on one of the last days of filming, and I slipped my contact lens in my eye. But I think we wanted to make it as real as possible, and that's why we included real life boxers such as Julius Francis, and we had Joe Egan and Ricky Chaplin who played Henry Pierce in the fight. He's an ex-boxer, and we just wanted to make it as real as possible. So a lot of the hits that you see are real, and they are brutal, and they are, Ricky just kept smashing me in the face.
I know Joe Egan really well. I filmed his very first DVD, and he took me around to meet all the world champions. So I've known Joe for about 20 years, and I actually filmed Julius Francis's last fight shortly before the incident when he knocked out the punter who was trying to get in that venue. So
amazing.
I love those guys. They're absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm sure everybody asked you, but Russell Crowe. I mean, What is it like when you go into a scene with Russell Crowe? Do you think, oh, this is going to be tough? How can I hold my own? How is it?
It's intense. It is intense, and it's but in a very good way. He doesn't make it intense to the point where you feel uncomfortable. He makes it intense. You just have to step up your level. You have to. You're in with one of the best in the industry, and he is. I'm not just saying this because he's in the film. He is incredible. Like the presence and gravitas that he brings to every scene and what he does. I learn a lot from him.
When you get a big star like Russell Crowe, do you have to sort of get him in quick and shoot all his scenes in a week, or how does it work?
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much getting him in quick. I think we finished with him earlier than we expected. It's about adhering to his time frame and different things. And we shot with him in the UK and Malta, so we actually had to move around a bit. But you film it over a week or 2 weeks. I think we had him for 10 days total. So it was a tricky thing to bring everything together.
What was the kind of personal cost to you? Because I've done some low budget films, nothing on the level that you've done, and it is such hard work. Getting the locations, getting the actors, getting the people, and this, that, and the other. I mean, was there sort of a physical and emotional toll on you putting this whole thing together?
Completely. Yeah, it's and to be honest, I don't know if I've recovered from it yet. It was the most challenging, emotional, tough experience, most grueling experience of my life. In many aspects, it was great. Yeah, it destroyed me. Lots of stress, the sheer amount of responsibility of holding this thing together and trying to get it made, and all this money on the line and all these people, and then moving around and going to multiple countries. There was just no downtime. There was no time to just go, okay, let's relax.
Well, I think when I finished, as I say, much lower level than you, a film, I almost end up almost not wanting to watch the film or not liking the film by the end, because you've put so much effort into it and so much emotion. You kind of want to almost distance yourself from it. I mean, did you feel like that, or were you immensely proud and it was a relief? How were you?
It's almost a miracle that it got made. I'm proud of it. It was it was incredibly challenging. I don't know if I would do it again, and I'm just being very honest. I don't think the average person could have gone through what I went through, and if I had any other responsibilities, kids or house or anything that even all my energy, even money, like everything, my body, my contacts, my credibility, it was a bit crazy.
Yeah. What do you think your dad would have thought about the film? Did he think that you were going to go, because you trained as an actor? Would he have had any knowledge about the direction that you were heading?
No, I think he died when I was young, so he wouldn't have thought about me becoming a boxer or training to become a boxer or doing something like this. But I think I think he'd be very proud.
Yeah. Well, I think, congratulations to you, Matt, because, I mean, it's a phenomenal achievement to do something like that. Just get the actors, to get the sets, to get the script, and this, that, and the other. So, I urge people out there to go and watch the film. It's still on Amazon Prime, yeah?
Yeah, it's still on Amazon. It's been released in lots of other countries as well. I think Germany released it theatrically.
Has it catapulted you to fame?
It's opened a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of things that I have access to now, and a lot of benefits that I'm getting. That's great, but that's kind of all off. It's all off my own back. I'm doing that myself. I think a couple of things have come through, which I haven't really jumped to. I just want to make sure that my next move is the right move. Obviously, some B-movie action films have come my way, and other boxing films, and I'm just being very careful on what I do next. Obviously, I've launched this podcast, which is off the back of the film, and it's that's actually really fun to do and becoming quite successful already. So I'm prepping and writing another project, which is actually a lot bigger than Prizefighter.
Are you sure you want to do this, Matt? Are you sure you want to do it?
I know. Well, there's a couple of things I'm changing. I'm not in a rush to do anything. I think I remember seeing an interview with Leonardo DiCaprio before when he first did his first sort of breakout role. You know, he was getting offered all this money through Disney and all this stuff, and he just basically turned down everything because he had a very clear path on what he wanted to do and the way he wanted to be perceived. So I think it's definitely opened a lot of doors for me, and obviously, you know, just becoming good friends with Russell Crowe and the other cast is also helpful because I didn't have that access before. So
yeah. Ray Winstone was fantastic in it, wasn't he? He was absolutely brilliant in this.
Yeah, I think Ray really shined in this. It was like going to school every day with Ray, with your best mate, just have a laugh and have fun, and then go out for dinner afterwards. It was a really nice experience with Ray.
Well, fantastic. I don't want to keep you too long because I know that you've got the dreaded cold that everybody's suffering with at the moment and stuff like that. But I mean, what a fantastic achievement for you, and really wishing you the best in the future with it. And I do urge anybody, subscribers of the channel, to watch the movie. It's Prizefighter. It's on Amazon Prime, and you can get it on other platforms and stuff like that. So well done, Matt.
Thank you so much, Liam. That means a lot, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, pleasure. And best of luck with the future. See you soon, Matt.